in my house because we're on the verge of like, are we going to evacuate? Are we
I
not? Right now,
know,
Oh,
it's
right?
fine. Like,
Jesus.
we're not. But the thing is, the weather warning doesn't end until tomorrow, or, like Thursday, everyone should be safe. Hey, Google, stop. And so, like, everything is scattered. Hey, Google, stop. And I
Hey
think my
Sheila,
headset
is
is.
there a way to turn off her video for just a second?
I
Just to
can.
FYI, we are recording to YouTube right
We're
now.
we're
That's
we're on
right.
pre
Hi,
we're
everybody.
pre-showing live. Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
I was
Google,
like, wait a
stop.
second, she's walking through her house. She's not.
That's all right. As long as you guys are okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
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 Okay. We'll get this on. Sorry, I thought you said it started at 6.
It starts at 6, but we always just turn the stream on just to give
Oh, no
people
worries. No worries. I
a
don't care.
little
Live on
taste
TikTok
here.
90% of the time. As long as you guys aren't bothered. That's all that matters. Oh, you know what? I just did that, but like I don't think my headset will connect to my computer because it's a different computer, but we'll try. Am I okay? Do I sound okay for you
You
guys?
sound
Yeah.
Yeah,
fine.
you sound great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
As
was
long
nice to
as you
meet
guys are
you.
okay. Never mind. We just didn't have to do all that. What is everyone's names? Obviously, I know Sheila.
So I'm actually Lisa, but it's kind of a bit. Today I'm Constance. So
Oh, you mean in real life you were
yeah,
Lisa? You were
yeah.
just, you forgot to change your name on the
No, no.
thing?
Well, it goes
Are
back
She's
you
to
she's going
Constance
by
as well?
a
no, no, no.
persona.
Yes,
Yeah.
that persona.
I just want to make sure it wasn't like your screen name wasn't attached to you. Like
No,
this is you, but you're also Lisa. Okay,
no, no.
got
My name is Lisa. Today it's Constance.
And I'm probably gonna fuck up and call her Lisa at least twice or three.
And I will correct you and say that my name is
it. Is
Connie, and you've known this for years. That's gaslighting.
Yes.
I won't do
okay.
that.
Explain. Is it your why is it only today, or is it a fluid thing?
Yesterday we had a different Zoom call, and as far as I'm aware, she had never seen the wigs, and so I was bringing out the wigs, and my
Oh,
phone at some point had been named Constance, and so in that video chat, it signed in as Constance, and she was like, "Constance, who the fuck is Constance?"
oh, okay, okay,
And I
okay.
was like, "Oh, that's my it's me. I don't."
It's more of an inside joke. It's the wig
Yeah,
that's
Right.
it's a
Constance.
bit.
Okay, okay,
And then
okay.
she was like, "If you show up tomorrow with a wig and named Constance, I will die." And I don't want her to die, but I just
I'm dead.
No worries.
I'm dead.
And
Yeah.
then
you're
we
not
have
dead.
So
we
this
have
is
Morgan.
Morgan
Hi,
and
Morgan. And
Cimarron.
Cimarron. I've you popped into my live a couple times, but I'm like, how do you pronounce your name?
Yeah,
So
it's
now we got
okay. You can just call me Sim for short.
okay. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
And
but
we sh
how's everything going on over there? Because I
It's
have been praying.
it's so far everything is going okay where we are. I have at least okay, direct friends, like friends that I know legit know very well. 4 of them have lost their homes. One of them,
good
I found
gosh.
out last night, actually passed away 2 months ago. It didn't like, I'm friends with him, but like
Like Queen, like
have
yeah.
well, I worked with him on a show, kind of like all these are people I've worked with on shows. And he had been going through cancer, and I didn't realize that he passed away. And so it kind of hit me because I was like, oh man, like I was so sad. And then I was like, even sadder. I'm like, fuck, like not only did they, lose their house, they had just lost their father. So it's one of those weeks, like just there's just been so much going on. It's like it's not even insane the week that I've had. Like just forget about the fire. Like if you forget the fires, like the week that I had would have been a week that you would have just like each little thing would have kind of maybe set a normal person in a weird way. Like this has been my week. My mom got COVID. She was in the hospital. This is actually probably the week of leading up to this. So we're already on day 8. So this is kind of in the middle of, as the storms were starting, these are all things that happen. My cat was sick. I thought she had bird flu because she eats raw meat, and we were a little concerned. But she's fine now. My mom had COVID, went to the hospital, and she's fine now, or is fine. My uncle went to the hospital with pneumonia. My other cousin had a stroke and died. My dad's first cousin had a stroke and died. One of our really good friends was up in Colorado and and like he's like in his mid 50s, ended up having a heart attack with blocked arteries in
My
Colorado
God.
elevation. This was over Christmas. So we've been kind of monitoring him. He's been in a coma. Like, oh wait, my computer died. And then I had to navigate new health insurance because we lost health insurance. Like, there's a lot. And then wait, oh, and then TikTok might be ending. Like, who knows what's going on? I mean, it's been good. Good things haven't worked in a year and a half. So it's like all these little things just are starting to add up, They're doing a
Gosh.
thing, but I'm okay. I'm okay. We didn't lose our home. I don't think we will. Like it would take a lot for that to happen because we're not in the hillsides, but thanks anything. Knock wood. Everything's okay. Did
All
you guys just
right.
freeze? You
I
did. You
think
all
one or
froze.
the other of us froze here. Can everybody hear each other? Hello,
Can you
Alicia.
hear me?
I can hear you that second.
Oh, Alicia, sound off.
It just said my internet was not stable. Is it me? Am I the problem?
I'm not sure. You're the only
Am
one I
I the
hear cutting
problem? It's
off.
me.
I
Am I the
was,
only one cutting off? Um, should I try to restart?
it's up to you. We've got about 60 seconds.
Okay,
Or about,
let me try to
yeah,
rejoin, I guess.
that'll work.
My cat's gonna love you because I'm taking off her collar. She doesn't normally hop up here to this,
Hey,
and
Alicia.
Hello.
Hello.
well, I say that I can't take it off. Here we go. Here's my cat.
Okay, let me get YouTube back up here.
She hopped up here. She doesn't normally do that. She's got an
Oh,
infection on her ear, but it's been about a month, so.
sure.
Hmm? To like, wait, what are we hearting?
I don't
Don't
Saying
know.
know,
Alicia.
but I wanted to get in on it.
Yeah, matter of fact, hearts for
Mhm.
everybody. There you go.
Thank you.
No, 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 no.
Okay. All right, gonna get started on GC. I'm gonna start recording the show, and then I'm gonna start live to GCPR. When that gets started, we will roll opening credits. All right, everybody, welcome to the Hurricane Girls. I am Sheila Chappelle, America's ex-girlfriend, now TikTok's ex-girlfriend. I am here with all of my lovely friends here, and we're back for another amazing show. With us tonight, and we've had a lot of great guests, but with us tonight, we have Valerie Campbell, key set costumer of Gilmore Girls and costume supervisor for A Year in the Life. I've almost memorized your tagline now. There, also has worked on a number of other works that we've probably all seen. We'll talk about that, and we're going to definitely talk about some ice cream tonight. So, because that is a topic of expertise here too. So, welcome to the show, Valerie. And I'm joined here by four of the five of the other Hurricane girls. Hurricane Evie is out tonight. Had some business to attend to, so we miss her. Wish her well. Probably see her on live later. I have with me here from the great state of Texas, Hurricane Morgan, and all the way from Alabama, Hurricane Constance
You got it right.
or Connie, yes, and coming from the state of Illinois, here is Hurricane Cimarron, and all the way from New York, Hurricane Alicia. I'm broadcasting tonight from Toledo, Ohio. We are the Hurricane Girls. We are the Daughters of Darkness, the Sisters of Rage. We are the goddesses curse upon mediocre men, and we are nature's happy little accidents. It's so great to be here with y'all. I always look forward to this time when we get together, and our whole concept is we're a bunch of women from diverse backgrounds, diverse sexualities, diverse gender identities, and we are best friends who have a lot of shit to say. And by the way, we will say a lot of shit, and we are uncensored here on YouTube. We are broadcasting on YouTube at Hurricane Girls, also broadcasting live on internet radio, gcpr.live, where every voice matters, the home of the Villains Guild. And we will be up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts later on tonight as soon as I get off my ass and upload the show. So, that being said, welcome to the Hurricane Girls. Valerie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Can you hear me? I think we got a frozen connection here.
I am a costumer. I make
I was struggling with the connection just a little bit here. I will. While we're waiting on Valerie to unfreeze, I'll introduce you to her a little bit. Some of you may have grown up watching just a little show called Gilmore Girls, and Valerie was a big presence on that set. She was the key set costumer for almost all of the 7 seasons, costume supervisor for a year in the life. But if you look at her IMDb page, there may be some other things that you'd recognize. One of my personal favorites was "Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood." Also on Mad Men, Dragon Ball Evolution, um, Star Trek Picard, and True Detective, Without a Trace. A lot of shows that you all have seen, and hopefully she'll get to be coming back because she's also out in she's also having I would imagine there's going to be a bit of interference what with the things going on. Can you hear us now, Valerie?
I can hear you. Hold on one second. I want to try to switch to the phone. I think it might be better.
Okay, no problem.
Let's see.
This is live YouTube. Ooh, there we go.
Silence one of them.
Let's see. Your phone is echoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we've got it. Hold
Yeah, I
on.
think you do.
Okay. Yes, got it. Sorry about that, friends.
That's okay. Live YouTube, everybody.
The worst part about this is I have a lot of I have a lot of notifications on my phone. Unfortunately, it just wasn't working well on the computer.
Okay. Well, we're getting Valerie in stereo right now, so here we are.
Okay, we can stop the video on that side.
All right. So, Valerie, I was just telling everybody a little bit about you. Of course, we know your history with Gilmore Girls. That's no secret to anybody who's watched your TikTok. But I also went back and looked through your IMDb before I started and just saw some of the older ones that I hadn't really thought of. One of my personal favorites is "Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood."
Oh yeah. That was a crazy, crazy, crazy show. It was kind of like right when I was getting into the union. I think it was definitely, what year was that? It's like
Oh gosh,
90.
I had it right here. It's 1990 something. All I know is that was when the weigh-ins were really hot. It's 1998.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. And then they ended up reshooting half the movie, which is why the continuity, if you watch it again, the boys constantly they have two outfits and they are constantly repeating both of those outfits with no rhyme or reason to the way the script is. They just didn't care. When they did the reshoots, I didn't do the reshoots. I only worked on the normal part of the movie.
Mhm.
And when they put it back together, it just looks like the continuity nightmare because they keep going. I did end up seeing it like once in a theater, and it was kind of very disjointed. And I'd be like, oh, there were so many scenes that they cut out that I didn't end up ever seeing. That you guys didn't see, like that were so much fun. It was a lot of fun though.
So, I mean, the one that most people are here for when they see is Gilmore Girls. So, how did that happen? Tell us about your
So
experience with
I
that.
had interviewed with Brenda at like a job fair. It was a long time ago, and we ended up working together on a TV pilot, which was a sitcom. Brenda was our costume supervisor, and then later she became our costume designer on the show. So I ended up working on a sitcom pilot with, I want to say it was one of the blonde. Oh, I forget which one. It was like not the one that did, it might have been the one that did Homeland. I think it was Claire Danes. It was someone like that. Claire Danes or Kristen Dunst. I can't remember. It never ended up going anywhere, but we worked on this thing with her. And then when it was done, a few years later had passed and Brenda saw me in the costume house and then she called me on the phone and she was like, Val, I need you to come. My costumers on the show are leaving. I need to replace them. And so I ended up filling in for one of the costumers. And they went to go do Spider-Man. And so it's because of Spider-Man that I was on Gilmore Girls.
I mean, that's certainly been, it certainly seems like when I look at the community around Gilmore Girls, of course, the fans are wonderful.
Oh,
Like
yes, they are.
they're rabid,
Yeah.
like quite rabid. And
They're they're supportive and they're very
right.
informative.
Well, yeah,
I love it.
obviously, if you need to know something about the show you worked on, you know who you can talk to.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's funny because I've only watched it once.
Mhm.
But I remember a lot. And so before I watched the show, I had a lot of really disjointed memories of like, oh, we did this and we did that and we did this. And then watching it, I didn't work on the first 10 episodes. I started on episode 11. So when I started watching it, it kind of put things back in order of like, oh, wow, I didn't realize this happened before that. And but I remember all of it, just very disjointed as far as the memories. And it's sometimes hard watching it because I'm looking for the continuity mistakes. I'm looking with a trained eye, not enjoying the storyline as much, but it is still fun to kind of see it and experience it through everyone else's eyes as well. Because when I did watch it, I watched it with everyone live on TikTok. So that was definitely an experience. And I took my time. I watched one episode a week. So it took a long time. I think it took us like did it take us 3 years or two? It's like it took two and a
Yeah.
half, I think, to get through it.
Yeah,
But it was
and that had to be like I mean, I feel like that would be a special way to watch through it is to watch through it with the fans, the people who really truly appreciate the work and
oh my
especially
God.
appreciating the behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like I've known you now how long now? 4 years?
21 from
21.
2021,
Yeah.
mid 21, because I think you didn't start joining until I was able to go live. Because I wasn't really
Right.
talking about Gilmore Girls until kind of towards the end, like maybe February. Oh no, not February. Like probably May or June of 2021.
Right. And
Yeah.
then I had joined TikTok because it was my way of documenting my transition.
But
And
you
I
hadn't
also
quite
thought,
started that yet.
well, I was getting there. I was getting
You had
started.
not made a video yet. I remember we were like,
No, I had
you
not.
were so shy. We had no idea who you were. And then it was
Right.
like, oh, okay. That's Sheila. Okay,
Well,
gotcha.
I
Good.
I was there trying to make friends as I went along, and I ended up making friends with this girl named Candace.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
remember Fun
Yeah,
Size
I'm friends with
Millennial?
Candace. Yeah,
Yeah, and I was on Candace's live talking to them,
yeah,
and then just all of a sudden, suddenly here's you duetting, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, we're talking about Gilmore Girls. I'm like,
yeah,
I know this. I'm a fan of Gilmore Girls. I have a unique relationship with Gilmore Girls. Growing up, I felt like Rory, and then now I feel like Lorelai, and I'm waiting for my Emily stage to come on.
Well,
Oh, don't.
Your Emily stage was your mom.
No, my Emily, yes, good God.
You actually were
Um,
probably more Lorelai than Emily than Rory.
Well, I mean, now, yeah, it's
Yeah,
obviously, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
when I say you know me better than just about anybody on TikTok at this
yeah,
point, like,
hmm,
we've been through some shit, like,
yeah,
and it's because of you that I was able to grow and do the TikTok thing. I was watching you, watching what you did, and watching what other people around you did, and I was like, I can do this.
yeah.
And it's because of that that I developed my platform. And I mean, it's just like 13.7 right now, and very much holding because TikTok will not show anybody my shit. But
Yeah.
if it had not been for that interaction with you, me doing that, I would have Constance here as a friend because we knew each other from 10 years ago. But
Oh wow.
these other ones, I would not have met ever,
Yeah.
and that would have been tragic. So,
It
I
is
mean,
crazy how like one thing will always lead to another. And despite the things that happen in your life that go wrong, you just have to kind of seize it and go, okay, well, if I'm not supposed to be here, like if TikTok does go away, if
yeah,
I'm not supposed to be here, then there's someone else somewhere else I'm supposed to be, and we just have to figure that out. I really hope TikTok doesn't go away because I'm just finally starting to get like it's finally like my account is finally starting to get noticed by people and
mhm.
um having it recognized by even TikTok. TikTok invited me to this program, and so I've been doing stuff with them, and it's kind of interesting. And it's not a lot, but it's like, oh wow, it's they're showing my stuff, and this is crazy. Like I was this dinky little tiny account, and now it's like I finally hit 100,000 at the day of the election. So it was like it's so bittersweet. Everything is like I achieved these milestones, but they're very bittersweet because they're happening on really horrible moments.
I know, right?
You're like, you can't really celebrate that this is happening because this just happened. Like, so it's kind of a weird little thing.
I the platform as it is, it's right now, I think it's not as good as it used to be. I mean, you definitely are hitting your stride. I'm getting choked
You
off right now. Um, and I think a lot of
know,
people in my general demographic are as well.
I think the main thing is they want a certain image, they want certain things. So if you're doing something and you're going your own way, you still have to kind of fall in line. And that's, my content is very specific. It's non-confrontational. It brings joy to people. I think you also have like Gilmore Girls is a community of people, and they're very supportive. And it's all about just building your community. And sometimes you
Mhm.
just have to step back. And if you're having problems within your own thing, is like reach out to other people and be involved in their communities because, the support is mutual. Like if people like you, they're going to come support you. And you just have to kind of keep building and not just stay within the five people that you know, but like keep building that.
Yeah,
And
and
that's what I
your
keep doing.
community, I think, is very nurturing. It's
They
all
are.
just very
Oh my God.
positive.
Yeah,
And
they are.
I mean, you are definitely one of the factors in why I'm sober now, because
Wow.
you used to ride my ass about that.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
because I would show up drunk, and you'd be like, Sheila, log
yeah.
off.
Yeah. Well, I don't like being around people when they're drunk. They're not fun. They think they're
Mm.
fun. They're not.
I am
They're
now a
too much.
year and 10 months sober.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
And the other thing about you, the one we mentioned before, ice cream.
Oh yeah. So
We definitely have to talk about ice cream.
Favorite
I
flavor?
started I started making ice cream back when I lived in Echo Park. There were these art galleries around the corner from my house, and I started having little potlucks. And because I was making ice cream, I would make one flavor. And then people would come to the potluck and they'd be like, I'm allergic to kiwi or whatever flavor I had made. They were like, I'm allergic to that. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm gonna make two flavors. And then inevitably, like it ended up growing to like every time I'd have a party, we'd make like 4 or 5 and then 10 and 12 flavors. And there'd just be all these different flavors that were around. Um, and so sorry, my friend had needed something. I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, so it was just one of these things where I kept making different things and people would come to the parties. And because of working in the film business, and when you work in the film business, it is all about who you know and how you're communicating and showing up for people and being there. And by having these parties, it allowed me to keep in touch with people, which is why I kept in touch with all the Gilmore Girl people. Ed Herman was one of the first people that came to one of our parties, and if he was in town, he would come, and Keiko would come, and um, Rini and all sorts of the Gilmore Girl actors would show up, and whenever they got interviewed on a project and they didn't know the answer to that question because they were asking some kind of question about crews, they'd be like, I don't know, but maybe you should interview Valerie. And that's how I got involved in the community. And then later I ended up going to Fan Fest, it's called the Fan Fest Society, but it started out as the Gilmore Girl Fan Fest. And that is where they were the ones that said, hey, you like making ice cream, why don't you write a book? Because we can't pay you. We can't pay you to come to this festival. Write a book. And I'm like, okay. And so I wrote the book. And that's
That's the
the
first
first one.
edition.
Yeah, that's the first one.
The bigger, heavier, I can actually kill a man with this book here is
Yeah.
this one right here.
Yeah.
And it's very personalized here, as you can see.
It definitely is.
It's
So
also for sale, as I recall.
it is.
So
Yes,
yeah.
it is for sale. So what happened was I went to the Fan Fest the first year. That's when they got to know me. The second year they asked me to write a book, but I said, why don't we just make ice cream at the Fan Fest and we'll talk Gilmore Girls. And the third year they're like, you need to write a book. So this was 2018, February 1st, 2018. They said, I think, well, I feel like it might have been the like January 31st or whatever. We went to go see Stan Zimmerman's play, and Stan was one of the writers on Gilmore Girls, and he always goes to Fan Fest. And afterwards, they're like, you need to write a book. And I kind of sat down because I felt cornered. I was like, okay, well, let me figure this out. And so I sat down and I tried typing it, and it didn't want to come out. It didn't want to come out typed. It wanted to come out handwritten. And I have a Surface computer, so I was able to like draw. And I started drawing pictures, and it turned into this art illustration, and stories were all handwritten. So like they're all like little stories of the different people that are in my life, and each one is inspired by a different person. And our pets are in there, which that one is, and all these different
Mhm.
people that are in our lives. Sometimes they're even people that like I met for a quick second on the side of the road. Like they're people, the people that come in your life, in and out of your life, will always imprint on you in some way. And you have to understand that instead of being upset by a certain situation, just try to open yourself to what are the possibilities behind that? Like why did this happen? It happened because this was an important thing for you to go through. And don't be caught up in those things in your life because you just never know where they're going to lead you. Anyways, I wrote the book. I had gotten about I had printed 1,500 and I had 200 left for sale when the pandemic hit. And then I was slowly working on writing a second version of it because I knew that eventually I would have another book that I needed to create. And so I decided to expand it because we had some issues with a friend that I decided to pull out of the book, and
Mm.
I had to change some stuff. And because of that, I decided to add 50 new recipes and stories to the book, and it was kind of really special that I did that. And it's just crazy that I think I told you at the beginning, before we got cut off, my book has 3 people in it that have lost their homes in the Altadena fire. All of them I worked with on Star Trek Picard. 2 of them I worked with on Gilmore Girls. And it's crazy to me, like, how quick that happened. And that 3 of them were people that all lost their homes. But there's way more people that I know that have lost their homes because of the fires. It's so sad.
So we've kind of had a nice little extended intro to you here. You know, we've
Was it
covered
supposed to be
things
a little
about you.
shorter?
No. Actually, we're a 2-hour show, so we're good.
Okay.
So right, so now, I mean, we're going to circle back to everything, but my girls have been sitting here super quiet. I know they've got some things they want to talk about or ask or whatever, and so I'm gonna let them go ahead and throw some stuff at you here. Who's
Okay.
gonna be first?
I keep
Okay.
saying almond milk. What does that mean?
And
In our chat, I said
When
I
you-
was allergic to nuts. And I can have almond milk, but I have to be careful, because I don't wanna I want to be able to talk and sing and still be alive.
You were
So
talking about all the ice creams that you make and how people were allergic, and then I said I was allergic to pineapple, and then I realized that had innuendos. And I was like, not that.
Well, you know what? It's interesting.
Just started talking allergies in the chat.
You know what? Food allergies literally sometimes it's like the first thing I'll say to someone. I'll be like, "What you allergic to?" And they'll tell me their food allergies, and I'm like, "Okay, I
Now
got
I'm
you
gonna kill
covered."
you.
No, not the opposite. No, it's
I'm
because
kidding.
I always bring ice cream to set wherever I go. And so I always want to make sure that that person can have something before I like offer, like, hey, I got, this or that. But there's no almond milk ice creams in the book. There are some almond ice creams, but there's nothing, like there is some that have almonds in it. Just avoid those. But there's 100 flavors in the book. You'll be fine. There's a couple that have pineapple, not that many.
yeah, sugar is my
So
big allergy there.
I admit I did not.
Oh, I see
Oh.
why this came up because we were talking. I said how people would come to the parties and they would be like, I'm allergic to this and I'm allergic to that. That's why that was. I was like so confused.
Yeah.
It was like 10
So
years ago in this conversation.
a question from the chat, Jeff in the chat, and this is for the whole panel here. French fries dipped in ice cream, yes or no?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yes. I'm gonna say
No.
yes. Oh
I've
wait,
never had.
no.
That'd be a
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, it's not so much ice cream, milkshake. Like a
Right.
milkshake
Like a
from
frosty.
yeah, like a milkshake from In-N-Out French fries. But having said that, it's not like I go do that all the time. But if it was offered and it was in front of me, I would absolutely do it. And I
Simran,
have done it.
I didn't hear your answer. Alicia's on
Hard
board.
pass.
Hard pass. So Morgan and
Yeah.
Simran are hard
Have you
pass. Const-
tried it?
Oh my gosh, we're split down
Well,
the middle.
So I can't have ice cream really unless it is a dairy alternative because
Okay, non-dairy ice cream. Would you do
yeah,
it?
yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Okay.
But
I think we have to have the chat be the tiebreaker here. Laura Body Double says that they haven't had a fry frosty combo in forever, but for no good reason, and it sounds so good. So chat is on our
Wendy's
side.
Frosties I could see.
Yeah.
I don't think anywhere else. I don't think anywhere else it would work. But Wendy's is.
By the way, we got
She
Smoking
says
Hot
wearing a red wig.
Mess.
I don't mean that either. Just.
We got Smoking Hot Mess Jess in the chat as well. We got several friends. Allison's in the chat. And
Hello,
thanks for
everyone.
everybody who is in the YouTube chat right now. I really appreciate y'all listening here. So
Favorite flavor ice cream.
favorite flavor of ice cream.
I'm curious.
That's impossible
Oh.
to answer. Okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
Read the
You have
recipe
to
book. Yeah.
understand I have way too many flavors in my book, and each one of them is like, oh, that one's good. No, that one's good. No, that one's good. So no, I can't answer that question.
Okay. Fair.
It's the sorbets you write about that I am just like, oh, what? that right now.
The
Like,
better
yeah.
question is, what did I make last?
Okay,
That's a better question.
what did you make?
Well, I made 3 different things last. I made a bitter orange sorbet. Hold on 1 second. I
It's really
can't
good.
right now because I'm in the podcast, but hi, Beta. Sorry about that. It's been crazy over here. We've had a lot of stuff going on.
Well, I mean, the world is literally on fire
Yeah.
where you are.
It is on
So,
fire here. Then there was an eggnog with Scotch whiskey
That sounds good.
ice cream that I made. And then and the alcohol is generally it's more cooked off. It's not like very present forward. I mean, there's flavors, there's tones to it, but and then there's I made a banana rum Foster. Not all the ice creams have alcohol in them. Just those particular 2 had it
Yeah.
because of requests. But the alcohol in the banana is literally like you light it on fire. So
our program director George is in the chat asking if you can make an Irish car bomb ice cream.
What do you think that would be? What is that? That's a drink, right?
The Irish car bomb.
I
is
don't
a
know what
drink.
it is. It's a drink though.
I don't drink, so I don't know. But if you gave me the notes, I made an ice cream that's in the book that Sheila has. That is tequila, lime, and adobo spice.
Ooh,
I don't think that's an Irish carb.
No. But what I'm saying is anything could be made. But
Yeah.
but the thing about it is, most ice creams, when you're making ice cream, you don't want to use too much alcohol because the alcohol depresses the freezing point. So it's not a very like alcohol forward. It's more hints or notes of those alcohols. So if whatever's in it, you have to then decrease the amount of sugar that's in the recipe. Like if you take a base recipe, if you're
Why-
adding alcohol to it, you have to decrease the amount of sugar because sugar also depresses the freezing.
Why do I feel
So-
like alcohol flavor would be kind of anise flavored?
Anise, like anise?
Yeah, or
Like-
I don't know how to.
like
I've only
that?
ever seen it. It's one of those words I learned
Oh.
reading. I don't know how to
Oh,
say
no,
it.
that's fine. I think there's different dialects depending on where you live.
As long as it's not anus flavored, that's all I care.
No.
I'm just saying.
Ah,
Oh,
Why?
and the chat is telling us that the Guinness and Bailey's is what makes an Irish car bomb. So
You
it's Bailey's Irish cream with whiskey and Guinness.
I would just, yeah, you could do it. I would just do it. I would probably use the eggnog recipe, except take out the spices unless there's spices that you want in there. But when I'm making an ice cream and it's like for someone, because the book is basically like a bunch of people are like, this is what I want you to make. And so I'd make it. And sometimes it was just, oh, they had a peach tree and that person inspired me to make that particular flavor. But I asked them like Sheila, what if you're ideal, what's your favorite fruit?
For me, it's going to be passion fruit.
Oh, okay. So in the book I have a passion fruit and lime sorbet, and that you can't really go wrong with that. That's a pretty basic. You could either use lime or lemon. Either way, they're both really, really good sorbet. Yeah.
I have a new favorite fruit that I didn't know until I don't want to get into a habit of talking about him on here, but I have a boyfriend. His mother had gotten me some jams for Christmas, and because I was making it, long story, backstory, but one of these jams was raspberry, and I thought I knew what raspberry tasted like, but I did not. This jam is like the best. I was like, this is amazing, and this is the only jam I will ever drink from here on out.
I'm going to tell you why. Raspberries as a fruit, most of the time you'll get them at the store and they are just flavorless because they are not allowed to ripen on the stalk.
Yeah.
You know, on the thing, because they have to pick them. And if they pick them to, like, they just commercial farms, they don't allow your berries. They just don't taste as good. So
they have to be transported, and so
they have to be transported. But when you cook berries, you're adding lime or lemon and sugar to it. So it's basically replacing a lot of the natural flavors with not necessarily artificial, but it's heightening the flavor of it. But if you get a really good lemon, I mean, if you get a really good berry that's fresh, you'll love it. But you might be disappointed in a raspberry after you taste a fresh one if you've never tasted one. How have you never tasted a raspberry?
I don't know. I mean, I've had raspberries, but they're all store bought, and this jam is just not. And I was like, this jam is magic. Like, this is, I don't, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Chat
it's good.
is chat's having a field day with anus flavored right now.
Yeah, great.
So
I would
yeah,
not make that flavor. But there is a flavor in the book that has anise or anise, however you
Okay.
pronounce it. And it's a ricotta.
I'm not crazy.
Um,
It's ANISE, right?
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right.
it's my grandmother would make a cannoli with anise. I don't know. I always pronounce it anise for some strange reason. I think it's because she did, I guess. I don't know.
Because it's almost
Anyway,
like a licorice flavor, kind of. Yeah.
it is. I love
Yeah.
it, but not everybody
Like it.
loves that flavor. There's a lot of people that are like, but I love it. I love it. And it's got powdered sugar, anise, maraschino cherries, and dark chocolate. It's so good. It's so
Sounds
good.
yummy.
Sounds really,
Yeah,
really
that
good.
sounds
Except for the
Question.
licorice. I'm not a fan of licorice, but the rest of it sounds yummy.
You can always change that. But that's the thing. If you're making something, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to stick exactly to the recipe. You can adjust things. That's how the book was made, was because I had a cookbook that taught me how to make ice cream. Oh, the California Palisades fire has been contained to 18%.
Okay.
It's still not good, but it's better, I guess. Not that much, but yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. But I have one quick question.
Yeah.
So there's not a possibility to put Hennessy in ice cream. Hear me out.
It raises the freezing
I
point,
know.
and so it's hard to keep it not
No,
melted.
you
I
can
was
put
just
it in
being
there.
silly.
You absolutely can. You just you're not gonna put an amount that's gonna get you drunk.
You just
It's for
in,
flavor.
in my mind, in my mind, Hennessy. Hold on.
In my
Hennessy,
mind.
Hennessy with Reese's peanut butter cups. Hear me
Okay
out.
now.
I don't drink, so I don't even know what the Hennessy would taste like.
Morgan,
But
at this
you
point,
absolutely 100% could do that. What I would do is either a peanut butter ice cream or a chocolate ice cream. Hear me out. Chocolate or a peanut butter base. You can pick. What would you do? Chocolate base or peanut butter base? Morgan.
peanut butter. Oh, sorry, Morgan.
It's Morgan's one that inspired this. Which one?
Yes.
Wait,
Peanut butter or chocolate, Morgan?
wait. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear
Yeah,
you.
now I can.
Can you
So
hear
a
us?
chocolate base. So, but then you want the hints of a peanut butter cup with the Hennessy. So then what I would do is you could either swirl it with, you can make a peanut butter caramel with a hint of Hennessy in it. That might be kind of cool. So basically, you take your sugar, you burn your sugar, and then you add some cream, and then to make the caramel, and then you add like a couple tablespoons of the peanut butter, and then at the very last minute, you douse some of the Hennessy in it after you've removed it from the flame. So you have a little bit of that. Then you save that aside. You make a chocolate ice cream, and then you swirl it with the peanut butter and Hennessy caramel.
Let's see.
We got
When I
not
told
ice
y'all
cream.
this is an ice cream artisan we're talking to here.
Artisan.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about right
That's
there.
what, yeah.
Yeah.
Girl ice cream. Hot girl ice cream. Make it for me during the summertime. Me and Megan Thee Stallion gonna be shaking our ass all over the place in California. Why Texas?
Alicia, yeah, I know you're more of a mint type, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So what would you like? Like
Well, I have a
you can
mint in the book.
experiment.
I have a mint in the book, and it's basically fresh mint. So you go out to the garden and you pick whatever mint you have, or you could go to the store and get mint, and then you kind of crush it up. You don't want to you want to kind of more macerate it, or you can chop it a little bit, and then you stick it in the milk as it's heating up, and it infuses into the custard. Then you make a custard, and then you strain it out, and then you add like fresh chocolate that you've chopped up, and that's how you make it. It's really good. It's a very popular one for people that like mint. Although mint is very polarizing. You either like mint or you hate mint. I love it.
I'm all for it. That's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
who else is into ice cream that I haven't? What other flavor combinations?
I want a raspberry flavored one. I just
Oh, okay,
don't
so
know.
in the book, there's a raspberry sorbet with
Mm.
tarragon because my friend Peter and his husband, they went to the Hollywood Bowl, and one of their friends shared some raspberries with tarragon with them, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is so good! Like this needs to be an ice cream." And so they begged me to make it into a sorbet. So I made them a sorbet of that. But you can also just take like a good vanilla base, make ice cream, and then you take your raspberries and you cook them down with like some creme de mure, which is like a blackberry liqueur, or you could just cook them down with some lemons and sugar and make a little sugar syrup swirl. So basically, you're basically taking your mom, your mother-in-law's, or your boyfriend-in-law's,
Not yet.
whatever you want to call him, uh,
Everyone watches
your
this. Say what?
mother-in-law, whatever she is, your mom's friend, your friend's mom, um, you just take her jam and you turn it into a nice little, you layer it in the ice cream and it's just delicious. Especially if you love it. If you love it already, it'll be fine. Jams in ice creams layered, that's what a swirl is. It's not anything special. It's just that. I mean, it is special,
Yeah.
but it really is kind of nice.
Thank you.
It's definitely not just a carton you buy out at the supermarket and throw in your freezer.
No. So what I started doing for those people that are in the LA area that want to find me somewhere on social media and let me know that you're in LA, um, because I haven't been working, I've been making ice cream for friends. So if you want to be my friend, come over for ice cream. And so what I do is there's these metal canisters from IKEA, and they're like little thermoses that can hold a pint of ice cream. And so I've been filling them with ice cream every time I make it. And then when people come over, they can just, give me some money for that. And then when they come back, they bring their canister and I give them a different canister. And it's just like a trading thing where you get one flavor one week, you get another flavor another. Some people are diehards and won't buy anything other than the one flavor that they really love. The flavor that is really popular right now with the people that are coming over is creme brulee. They really like that. So you make basically a very thick vanilla custard ice cream that's like a lot of eggs in it, more than what I normally put in. And it's got milk and cream and sugar and eggs. You make the custard and then you take sugar and burn it. And then you put it down like on parchment paper. And then the next day you crack it up, or whenever you crack it up, and then you sprinkle it in the ice cream as you're layering it into the refrigerator, when you're packing it into the container. It is so good, especially when you get to those like burnt, cracky bits. And even like sometimes those burnt bits, when they're too small, they kind of meld into the ice cream instead of being like hard as a rock. And so you have these like, it just tastes like burnt caramel throughout the ice cream, and it's really addictive.
Right.
So,
And you've brought this onto the sets when you were working,
oh
right?
yeah,
I mean, like
yeah.
that was what people knew you for,
I think
other
I'm trying to
than
remember what show I was working on first. I think the very first time I started making ice cream, I was working on a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. And then shortly after, I worked on Gilmore Girls. And so basically from Gilmore Girls on, um, I would bring ice cream, but not as often until maybe right before I started writing the book, like maybe like a year before I started writing the book, I would sneak ice cream on the set. And I say sneak, I'd literally like bring it on and I'd like go over to the caterer and I'd be like, "Can you put this in your freezer?" And then they'd be like, "Yeah." And then like what would happen is the first day on set, I would give it to my crew, the costumers. And then slowly the costumers would ask the actors that were there or other crew members that were there. And so each day it would be like one or two people would come get some ice cream. And then the next day would be like five or six. And then the next day would be like 10 or 12. And then pretty soon, like everybody on set would get the ice cream. And so I was working on Sweet Girl, which was reshoots. And the main actress that was working on it, who played the girl, Isabel, I think her name is Isabella something. She would have the ice cream too. And one day she was like, "Oh my God, this is so good." And she goes, somehow it came up that I had worked on Stars Born, and the guy that was in Hamilton that was in Stars Born that played the best friend. Oh my God, what is his name? He really, really loved my ice cream when I brought it to set on Stars Born. And he was like, you gotta bring this to set. I want to buy this from you. He's like, you got to figure out a way to ship it to New York. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm just making this in my kitchen. Like, this is not that elaborate. That was before I wrote the book. I wrote the book right after that show. And so she ended up buying a book, and she called him on the phone, and he's like, yo, the ice cream lady. Like, totally remembered me, which is kind of fun. It's fun how they, like, you barely work with people and they still remember you because you did something fun on set.
Right. And those are long days.
Oh God,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
having
A
worked
little
on
treat.
sets before, 12, 14 hours is a regular day at the office there. And
12 to 14, that's nothing.
yeah, right.
Sometimes
So,
16, 18, 22-hour days.
right. So like I have a hard time imagining because in my mind Gilmore Girls is always cold because it's in Connecticut and it's always snowing and it's always
Mm-hmm.
thing. But you're sitting there on the Warner Brothers lot,
Mm-hmm.
with the big coats on and everything. Like I imagine ice cream probably went over pretty well on set there.
You know what? I didn't bring it as often there. I think I only brought it maybe once or twice. I brought the machine itself, and I remember churning it up for we had like a baby shower, or I think there was a wedding shower, and I brought it for that. I remember that. But it was right when I started making, like I'd only started making ice cream a little bit then. For the most part, most of the actors would get to try it when they came over for the parties. So it was more like, hey, do you like ice cream? Do you like to cook? Why don't you come to our parties? I make crazy ice cream. And then that's when they started to become friends with us. Um, but yeah, but it's not that cold at Warner Brothers. In fact, it's like really warm most of the time. It's just the nighttime it gets really, really cold. Like in LA, we have about a 30-degree difference between the daytime to nighttime, depending on the day. And so when they're wearing their coats at night, they want those coats on. But in the daytime, they're like, oh, get this off of me.
You worked on Coyote Ugly, right?
I did. Yeah. That was a crazy show too. That show, um, they ended up reshooting quite a bit of it as well. And I didn't work on the reshoots, but I took care of Piper Parabo, who was the main girl in that. And she had like 52 costume changes when I was on it. And what was crazy about that show was the last 2 weeks of production, they were so far behind that they ended up having to run two simultaneous crews that would not simultaneous so much as we were shooting on this one giant stage area. And so what would happen is one crew would come in and film, and then the entire next crew would come in after we wrapped. And we basically like passed the baton for like 2 weeks. They were filming. It was either a week or 2 weeks, but I think it was 2 weeks, where they would film 24 hours non-stop.
Mm.
And it was pretty insane. So like I would leave and tell the costumers that were taking care of whatever scene. I'd be like, okay, these are the notes for this costumes. And then we would come back in the morning and we'd be like, okay, what's the notes on this? And there were different actors that would stay for each unit. So they would pretty much wrap the people that were on each unit. But but they needed that one set, the bar, because the bar was the main focal point and they only had one bar. But they had all these stunts, like they did like a fire dance and a water dance and um, just all those dances on top of the bar. So the dancing doubles would continue to work while the actors would go home, and then they would just trade places, and it was nuts. It was such a crazy show. And we never had script pages. Like our script pages would come just as soon as we got the script pages, there'd be more. Like they were handing out revisions after we camera wrapped. They would hand out revisions, and we're like, good luck. Like we've already shot it and we're wrapped and we're done. Like we're done. But apparently they decided to reshoot more. That's when they added the Leanne Rimes. I never met her because she was part of the reshoots.
Oh, yeah, she was in the movie there. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well,
everybody's nice. You know who was really nice on that show?
who's that?
The woman that played Piper's best friend who was in Heavenly Creatures. Oh my God. Melanie Linsky.
Oh my gosh, I've
Super
always
nice.
loved her.
And I would run into her at Warner Brothers when she was on Big Bang Theory. And I'd be like, oh my God, hi. And she was like, oh, Valerie, how are you? Like she totally remembered me, which was really cool. I was like, oh, I mean, I don't know if she remembered me now. It's been many, many years, but she had a really good memory and was just such a
She's
sweetheart.
she's hella talented.
Yeah.
Like she's from New Zealand, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. From New
but
Zealand.
yeah, so I mean I've seen her in a lot of stuff, and she's always sort of a that girl. Like,
Yeah.
that's that girl I've seen in something else. I can't remember what it was,
Did
but
you
she's
ever
been in so
see
much stuff.
Heavenly Creatures?
No, but I saw her in Rose Red.
That you should see Heavenly Creatures. It's about these two best friends, they're children. They're basically like teenagers. And she plays one of the teenagers with like I want to say it's Kate Winslet. I could be wrong. It was someone else who then her career ended up exploding. And it does not end well for one of their parents. Like they try to do
Mm.
something and then because they were so young, they couldn't like imprison them for the rest of their lives. The main thing that happened was they ended up getting separated. Like for the rest of their lives they cannot be together, they could not ever see each other ever again.
One, I think and I've
I
asked you about her before.
I had to look her up because I was like, I've not heard of this person.
Oh yeah,
And
you
I
know her.
did, but how I knew her, because I read through all of them, I was like, no, 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 no. And then it mentioned Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah,
I
she's
was
in a lot of stuff.
but in that movie, her I guess she's friends with Reese Witherspoon's character, but there's a bar scene and she's got a baby and Reese Witherspoon is engaged to some New Yorker person, but she's come back home to Alabama to try to finalize her divorce with her what never actually becomes an ex-husband because she falls back in love with him, but also Alabama. But there's a
Terrible
bar
movie.
scene and Reese Witherspoon's character, so this lady, I forget what she asks, her character asks. And Reese Witherspoon's like, you have a baby in a bar. And so I live in
That's
Alabama, born here, not entirely raised here, but love it here. But every now and then I'll find myself in a bar, and that
with
is
a
actually
baby.
well, I don't have children, but yes, like there would be babies, and I'm like, you have a baby in a bar. Like you
Uh,
can't do that to Alabama. Don't do
I've
it.
I think I've asked
That's
you
the
about
entire
this.
barn's baby. I mean, that's the entire bar's baby. That's a bar baby. It's the bar baby.
It's a
The
bar
bar
baby.
baby.
I think I've
No, I
asked you
have.
about her before, but a lot of people here are big fans of Gaga, Lady
Yes.
Gaga. And you
So
worked
I
on A
didn't
Star is Born. Did you work with
I
her?
I worked with her. I did not work directly with her, but my friend Kelly did. And every day on Stars Born, I'd bring ice cream. And one day I go to bring Kelly some ice cream, and Gaga's there. They're getting ready in between shots. And I was like, do you want some? Like, I don't want to just like be like, here, take this. And she's like, oh, I'd never be able to fit in my like costume. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Like, I get it. And that's fine. And but what was funny was we went to go do reshoots after the show was done. Um, and a group of us were like standing around, and she comes up to us and she's like, oh my God, hi. And like all of them are people that she knows personally, like who are really legit people that she knows. And she starts hugging everyone. She even hugs me. And I was like, oh, hi, by the way, I'm Valerie. Nice to meet you. Like I did work on the show. And she was like, she was just so sweet. She was like, oh no, no worries. Like, like she would hug you anyways. Like it did not matter. She wasn't like, oh my God, I forgot to hug the wrong, like, but she was an awesome, at the time I worked on that show, my one of my friends who is a makeup artist or makeup or hair, I can't remember. My brain is I think he's hair stylist. He was married to Gaga's best friend, and Gaga's best friend died from cancer. And so I was literally watching my friend on Facebook talk about all of the things that was going on in his life and the fact that his wife was going through cancer treatment. Meanwhile, on set, Gaga is Stephanie is telling the audience as she's performing, I just want to let you know that like my best friend is currently she's not doing too well. We're praying for her. Like, you know, please say a prayer for her. Like, so I'm seeing this like simultaneously. And as Gaga like was on set for the day when on the day that her friend had passed away, which is my friend's wife, like I'm simultaneously seeing Gaga say, I am so emotional right now. My best friend just passed away. And then on Facebook, my friend posting about his wife just passing away. And it was just so surreal because like in Hollywood, like everybody's kind of, it's a very tight-knit community, but like it was wild to be on both sides of that and seeing it in person. And you know, she's just a very real person. She's very, very sweet. And she was so talented. Like I did not really know too much about her before working on the show. I was just not that much into music. And to be on stage with her as she's like singing these songs live for the audience, but the audience could barely hear it because they recorded everything live, but they wanted it to be fresh. So they didn't amplify the songs when they were filming it. There's a whole thing about how they filmed and recorded the music. But it was really interesting to know that I was there when they recorded that song right there that you guys are listening to. I was there. I was there on the stage for every single take, taking care of the background, and it was really, really interesting and fun.
I think that song there, the shallow, that's the scene you
Yeah,
were working on, right? That
yeah, yeah.
song, it has a bit of a hometown feel to it because it was written by Hillary Lindsay, who is very much a hometown girl, my hometown girl. We
I'm
went to
wondering
high
if
school
she
together.
was. I wonder if she was on set. Was she on set?
She might well have been.
Wait,
It
She's
wait,
feels.
wait. Sorry. Just, I'm not gonna make you out your hometown, but I'm thinking between two states and I'm confused as to which one. Is it
Georgia.
my, okay, I
Yeah.
was just gonna say, is it my other state or is it the third triangular triangular state?
Mhm.
No, it's not. She's not from Memphis, but we went to
Okay.
high school together, and I've been keeping up with her career ever then. I saw that The Shallow was in A Star Is Born, and then I met you, and you were like, "Yeah, I worked on that scene," and I'm like,
Mm.
"Okay, small world." Like,
She might have been on set. I don't remember her necessarily. I mean, I didn't really have much connection or contact with working with Gaga. I worked like I obviously gave everyone on the set ice cream except for Gaga and Bradley. Like pretty much every single person had ice cream, which was
I mean,
kind of funny. But yeah, she might have had my ice cream. If you ever talk to her, find out.
God help me, we do have our 31st high school reunion this year, so
Aw.
who
Shush.
knows?
La la la
Yeah.
la 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 la.
Old. But yeah, we are approaching the top of the hour here. So I do want to remind everybody that you are listening to GCPR.live, the home of the Villains Guild, where every voice is valued. And we are broadcasting also here on YouTube at Hurricane Girls. You are watching the Hurricane Girls. We are the Daughters of Darkness, the Sisters of Rage. We are Goddess's Curse on Mediocre Men, and we are Nature's Happy Little Accidents. I'm Sheila Chappelle here with Valerie Campbell, costumer to the stars and ice cream artisan extraordinaire. And we've been talking a little bit about a mixture of everything. I'm joined with my besties here. Hurricane Simran over here has been very quiet. She's our resident therapist. Um, have Hurricane tonight, Constance,
Or
and
Connie.
Connie. Okay. All right. And then down below me, I've got Hurricane Alicia and then Hurricane Morgan rounding out the crew here tonight. Hurricane Evie is out tonight. Got had an event to throw. She's a busy, busy, busy. So she texted me, said she said to tell everybody she loves us, and she'll hopefully be back next week. Speaking of next week, tentative commitment from April A. Joy, author of Star Spangled Jesus, who will be talking about her books. If not, we may move up the Salty Historian, but we will have somebody worth tuning in for next week. If you don't already feel that this vast array of beauty is worth tuning in for, which I think it is. But yeah, we're here. We're here on the eve of TikTok's demise, potentially.
Let's hope.
We might lose TikTok on Sunday and lose the country the day after. So, it's kind of going to be a weird week next week.
Okay, but hold on.
Mhm.
I'm one of the 66% of Americans who just very tuned out after the election because, I mean, it is what it is. And I think, anyway, I was really mad at Georgia, and then I was just like, oh, it's actually not Georgia, it's the whole thing. And then I just didn't have anything to be mad about. I was just like, okay, well, who cares? But um, as I'm sure everybody, I mean, this is not like a in your face thing. I'm very sad that Jimmy Carter died. However, the whole half-mast thing is still going to be a thing, and it's going to be on Martin Luther King Day. So,
Oh, for God's sake,
like,
yes.
in your
That's
face, Trump. Like,
that's a lot. And
Black women, we are on break. We are not to do anything unless you are members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. The Sigmas and Kappas already had their Founders Day. For those of us, we are celebrating that. But for all of the 92%, we are going on brunch. We will celebrate Martin Luther King. We will celebrate Coretta Scott King and his mama. We are on break. Again, Black women, we are on break. Let them figure it the fuck out. Back to your schedule of programming.
I have no notes on that there. Yeah,
no, but
honestly,
I'm there for it. Well, I guess I'm not,
yeah,
but I'm there for it.
absolutely no notes on that. But it's gonna be a weird week. It's gonna be a lot going on. Already things are weird in the social media world.
Mhm.
Facebook is going full
What?
on what do I want
Because
to say, MAGA? I don't know.
because I am the part of the 66% that just tuned the heck out. Um, what is going on with that? Because I kind of got off Facebook for like 3 days for other reasons. I was mad at a totally different
Facebook.
platform. No, I was mad at a different platform, and then consequently, I was like, screw them all, and I like shut it down for 3 days until I got depressed, and then I was back on.
Facebook they removed their fact checkers.
Okay.
They removed they shut down their DEI department. They
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
have changed the rules for
Well,
conduct so that transgender and LGBTQ people can be labeled as mentally ill without it
Oh,
violating their
no
content.
wonder
oh my
everybody's
Jesus.
They even removed the tampons from men's bathrooms in the Meta headquarters because they're that petty right now. And Mark Zuckerberg is seriously kissing ass, hoping to get that Bureau of Propaganda title there, I am
so
thinking.
insane.
So it's nuts. TikTok may be going away. TikTok ban takes place 19th on the 19th unless something is done about that. Pretty much on TikTok, everybody that I know is just kind of like, doing their farewells. They're exchanging numbers and trying to go over to Red Note or Clapper or some other app like that. I have no traction on any of those apps here. I will probably be primarily on here on YouTube, but I am going to be on the other apps as well. Hurricane Girls is not going anywhere. We are here on YouTube at Hurricane Girls. Subscribe, like, please. We need you to share this with other people. This live replay will be able to be viewed after the fact. Just because it says live doesn't mean you have to watch it live. You can come back and watch it later. You can share it with whomever you like to. Put it on your Facebook page. Put it on if you're still inclined to be there. Put it on your social media. Share the Spotify and Apple links with whomever, and yeah, if you're out there listening and you're enjoying the show, share it. In the chat right now, we have still have Laura Body Double there, got Alicia, we got Hillary and Jeff over in the chat right now. And everybody's hanging out and having a good time. And we're still here and we still got an hour more to talk here. So I think one person I have not heard from who's probably the biggest Gilmore fan on this panel besides myself is Cimarron. So, Cimarron, you
Yeah.
haven't said much. So maybe what would you like to know that Valerie maybe can answer?
Oh my gosh.
I want to put you on the spot now.
I don't know it because the irony is like I am a big Gilmore Girls fan, but I watched it late, like after the fact. Like I didn't start watching it. I was one of the many that started after COVID times, and watching it through Netflix. So when it was originally on, um, I was busy raising my kiddo. Um,
Mhm.
but that's probably good because I don't think I could have lasted going a week or weeks in between some of those episodes. So I don't know. I guess one of the questions I would have um is like what was there a particular episode that you sorry, my cat just jumped on my table that you enjoyed more than others in terms of costume creation? Was there one that you just fell in love with?
Okay, so first, my job was not to create the costumes, but to manage them. Every day I would steam them out, give them to the actors, and then make sure that the continuity was exactly how they were supposed to be throughout the scenes. I would break down scripts, and at the end of the day, you wrap it up and send it out to cleaning, and then reassemble it, and basically, if something went wrong, that was my job to basically take care of them. As far as my favorite episodes, they're pretty much everyone's favorites, which are like You Jump, I Jump Jack, the Festival of Living Arts, the Dance Marathon. The I love those because of how much interaction we had with the costumes and how much the actors kind of relied on us to make sure that look, it wasn't just regular clothes, it was more interesting. And then with like You Jump, I Jump Jack, we're rigging them for stunts. And for the Festival of Living Arts, we're literally positioning their arms in certain places so that the folds of the clothes looked how it was supposed to look on camera. So those are the kind of things that like I love. And then the dance marathon was just a nightmare, but it was a lot of fun too because there was all the dancing and they were sweating and you'd have to like blow dry them in between shots and make sure that they looked the way they were supposed to look and that the little numbers that were on the back of them didn't pull, they were pulling the dresses and ripping them because they had pins and they were dancing and the fabric was really old. So it was just a lot of maintenance, but those are the memories that I have that were like anytime someone had to wear something that was just a little bit out of the normal, that those were always fun moments.
Who were you the closest to amongst the actors that I know you and Ed Herman were
Um
close in.
Now back then, I mean, Ed, Kelly, Alexis, Keiko, like I took care of all of them. It was very intimate. But now, like, all the people that go to FanFest, I'm really close to. Like, we just had this big group thread going on, a text because of the fires and everything that's going on. I've been keeping them posted on Liz. I'm really close to Liz Torres, but she's she always has like little health issues, and right now I just wanted them to be aware of what was going on and make sure that they knew that give her a call, make sure check in with her, give her some cheer up because she needs it. But you know Keiko, after the show ended, Keiko for sure, Keiko would come to every party that we had. Renee, I see Renee, who played Lulu, Kirk's girlfriend, I see her. I mean, it's like every few months I see Renee. Every New Year's I see her at a mutual friend's house. Every Thanksgiving she comes to our party. Every May she comes to our party. So I see her quite a bit. Um, and then the people that go to Fan Fest, I see them. And then when Liz is feeling good, we get like a little group of people to go over to visit her a few times a year.
That's some of my
And
favorite videos that you do is when you all go over to visit
yeah,
Liz. As
yeah,
I don't, Miss Patty on the show was always one of my favorite characters because
Yeah.
yeah.
she's just
There
so,
are. I
I
mean,
mean, she's, but
so many good characters.
Patty I think is Liz, and
She's
Liz
not.
inhabited that a little
It's
bit.
funny, is Liz embodied it, she made it. But like if you ask Liz, she'll be like, she is too sexual. Like Liz is not sexual like that. And
Right,
so she always gets a little like, oh, that's not like I don't like that. Like that's not me. Like and it's funny,
right.
and you're like, Liz,
But
we
she
know you're
has a
playing a character.
style like this
Yeah.
the way she speaks is always I can literally listen to her talk
I
for
think that
hours.
Miss Patty is more a definitely more dramatized version of Liz. But when it comes down to it, they are different people. It's there. I
Right.
don't think
I
that
mean, they're
there's
actors.
anyone that is the same. That yeah, they're actors. They are meant to kind of, but the writing was able to embody some of their speech patterns and also bring them, create more of a character for them for sure.
I will say I refuse in my head. I refuse to believe that Sean Gunn is not like Kirk in real life
Oh, I know,
because
right?
because I've seen Sean in person. I know he's not, but
Yeah, he's not.
the
I mean, he's not
character
serious.
like
He's not.
he just didn't it just owned that character, I think,
They
and made
do.
you
Yeah.
believe that that's like a good actor can make you be unable to blur that
Yeah.
to cross that line between reality and the person that plays it.
Yeah.
Met him at GalaxyCon last year, and I mean he's a decent dude. He was
He's
there with
nice.
Scott. He works the hardworking guy, like I mean
Mhm.
he's playing Rocket. He plays Bradley Cooper plays Rocket Raccoon, right? In
He
Guardians,
does
but
the embodiment of, he does the physical
like
characteristics
the
of
mocap,
Rocket,
right?
but then he also has the character that has the mohawk. He was
Right,
one of
right.
I forget what that character's name was, but he does those too.
I imagine he's going to be in a lot of DC movies now that his brother is heading up
Oh
the
yeah.
DC franchise there. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, was there anybody and to whatever extent you can tell, is there anybody, because I get the feeling that the set really felt like a family. Like you can just tell those shows where people who work together really liked each other, but was there anybody that didn't
They have
quite
their,
get along?
I mean, they have their days. Like there's definitely, it's a family, just like any other family. There's some people who like, some people who don't hang out with. It wasn't like everybody was hanging out. We had no time to hang out. We were on set all the time. And the actors aren't there that much. Like you think about it,
Right.
you're either shooting Lauren's stuff or you're shooting Alexis's stuff. And then if you're shooting Alexis stuff, you're either shooting Liza's stuff, Lane's stuff, or, whoever these characters are interacting with, like Logan or one of the boys. If you're shooting Lauren, you're either at the Dragonfly where you got Melissa and you got or you're shooting a Luke scene, or you're shooting, so certain characters were not there on a daily basis.
Mhm.
Um, they all kind of had their times where they're intermix and intermingle, and most of the day player characters that were there like all the time, but not all the time, they were the coolest because they had the most time. They weren't under as much stress as other people. They had their own stress. Like, don't get me wrong, saying those lines fast, not an easy task. And a lot of times the actors would just be in their mode of trying to do that. But we had a lot of hours. We'd be on set for a very long time. So there was a lot of joking around, and um, they, it wasn't always necessarily the like friendliest, but it was always like people got along. Like there's camaraderie. We went through a lot. It was almost like trauma bonding.
Yeah, you're talking about how fast those lines are spoken on that
Yeah.
show. My ex-fiance, English was not her first language, and I really
Oh,
wanted to introduce her
oh
to
yeah.
Gilmore Girls. She gave up after the first episode. She's like,
Mhm.
there's absolutely no fucking way.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna happen. Morgan, you got your hand raised. What's up?
Okay, so I had a question. Miss Valerie, um, I know you were in charge of the costumes. By any chance, did you ever get into sewing when you were growing up? My grandma's a seamstress. So,
Um, so I always did a lot of crafts when I was a kid, but I never like created my own clothes. Brenda, who was the costume designer, she did it all the time. She grew up sewing and grew up making her own outfits, and I can make curtains and a couch slipcover, but like the few things that I've made is not something I'd never want to put that on anyone but myself.
Let me ask
But
you. I'm
yeah, I
sorry, go
do a
ahead.
lot of things.
Let me ask
But
you this.
yeah.
To the extent that you don't incriminate yourself, do you have any pieces of wardrobe from the set that you kept?
I mean, I have stuff, but it's not anything like it's like sweatpants and like, weird stuff that's not, while I might have gotten it on Gilmore Girls, wasn't stuff that you'd be like, oh my God. Like, I don't have that kind of stuff. I have the Bop It and I have a Chilton patch. Like, those are more interesting things. But when a show's done, there are definitely things that would be, most of it goes to the costume department. So,
I see a lot of eBay sales there that'll be like screen worn, something like they'll have a little photo of this shot from there.
well,
I
yeah, I
don't,
mean, the costume department takes it and then they deal with it however they want. Like if they have too many t-shirts, they'll, get rid of stuff. If they have too many jackets or blazers, they'll sell stuff to like It's a Wrap, and then maybe It's a Wrap when they're selling it, those people resell it to other shows when they figure out what it was from.
Mhm.
But if I have something, it was like, oh, let me wear this, it wasn't like a fancy or anything interesting. It would just be like stuff that we might have gotten product placement where the show didn't buy it, that
Hillary
kind of
in the
thing.
chat is saying you have Alexis's Alexis
I see
Bledell's
that was a
gloves by
mistake. Yeah,
accident.
that was a mistake. It's been in my kit. I found him in my kit in the bottom of my kit at one point in time, and then I refound them. It looked like
Ta
silly because I can't. They don't fit me.
Taylor wants to know about the sweater Keiko wore during the WB tour that you might have ended up with that
Oh,
too.
so Brenda, basically, Keiko had asked if she could have it at the end of the show, and I asked Brenda, and Brenda's like, "Yeah, give it to her." So that's when she says, "I gave it to her." It's like literally not me. I physically did the thing, but not. It was someone else higher above my food chain.
Well, I think my one of the other ones I've never really asked you about is Mad Men. How
Hmm.
long did you work extensively on
I
that show or
Not too much. So I worked the middle to end of one season, which I think was season 4, and then I worked the first couple season of season 5. So what happened was I was doing background costumes, like doing fittings and getting like we had a lot of fittings, and then we would travel from fittings to set, and we would take care of them on set. And then the next time they needed fittings, we'd do the fittings and set, fittings, set. And then the next season, my friend that had brought me on decided not to come back the next season. And they called me and they're like, "Do you want to do her job?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to do her job." And they're like, they begged me to do her job. And I was like, "Okay, I really don't want to do this job, but if you need me to do it, I'll do it." And it just wasn't a good fit. My friend that did this job, amazing. Like it was such a difficult job. And I'm not the kind of person to say no, because Jen was able to do it, but we had so much going at us that year. It was the year they went to Hawaii. So they went to Hawaii. We were doing photo shoots. We were trying to recover all the clothes that had been sent back to the costume house. It was like all these things going on. Meanwhile, the supervisor didn't do his own breakdowns. So I had to then do the breakdowns. And then Janie was trying to do lines of different things. Like there was all these ridiculous amounts of things going on. And it was a crazy show. I'm glad that it did not work out because it was insanity. Insanity. There's a lot of moving parts. And then when I left, the person that replaced me was like, quit within 2 hours before I could even explain to her what my job was and what I was working on.
Is John Hamm like really tall?
I like he's tall, but he's not like 7 foot tall. Like he's just like average
Because
tall.
he's kind of dreamy, I think. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I worked with him twice. You know that, right?
Hmm.
Because he was on Gilmore for an episode.
Right. If want to talk about tall, you're probably going to talk about Jared Padalecki.
Jared. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Jared's quite a tall guy. For those of you Supernatural fans out there,
Yeah.
um, I'm way more of a Dean Winchester type, but yeah, um, I've heard that Alexis is also quite tall too,
No, she's like, I'm 5'5.5". She's probably like maybe 5'7".
or
She's
maybe
not
it's
that much
Lauren.
taller
I'm
than me.
thinking that's taller.
Lauren's a little bit taller, 5'8", I think. I could be wrong on them, but that's just what it felt like to me. And then they'd wear heels and they'd be a little bit taller.
Is there anybody that like if you had a chance and I know this is how you got your blue check talking about another reunion or talking I think you got your blue check on TikTok for talking about who the baby daddy was, right?
I got the blue check for multiple things. There were multiple articles, but that one got submitted. Yeah, that was definitely. But it was so silly because it's like, guys, it's not brain surgery. The clues are in front of you. It's
Right.
literally like there was
Right.
no one she was having sex with at the time that she would have been conceiving. I don't understand. Why are people even asking this question?
I mean, she didn't even know her boyfriend's name at that point, you know? So like
Yeah, like she's not hanging out with him, like
and it wasn't the
much less.
Wookiee.
It's not the Wookiee. I think she just ghosted him, but didn't realize like she probably didn't, the other guy, but I
But
don't
that
know.
was there was article after article
It's
about that,
crazy.
about Logan being the baby's dad, you know, and you know, your reaction to it is sort of similar to what Amy's reaction was to it. Like that's like I think that Amy Sherman Palladino just pretty much assumed that we would be smart enough to put two and two together.
One would hope you guys would be smart enough. It was never about the like who, it wasn't about a question of which person it was. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, it was just about the fact that she was pregnant. That was it,
Right.
you
And
know?
that's why the show came, I think, in my mind, full circle at that point, even though
Well,
it
I
took it
think
through
the
the
full
reunion.
circle actually had more to do with the way it ended with Rory and her writing the book.
Hmm.
I think that's more full circle, is because then you're like, oh, well, the next chapter would be these are what happens. This is what happens to her when she writes the book, is she's
Right.
reliving these moments of, and basically reliving Stars Hollow all over again as, you know, from her 16-year-old, like where would she start it from? Would she be starting it from the age that her mom was when she gave birth? But like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting. I guess if she was reliving the book, probably should have been earlier. Who knows? Maybe they'll do a prequel sometime. That would be cool.
I really think that's the only way the show can go is prequel
I think
because it's
that
pretty
would be
wrapped.
awesome. Well,
Like,
I think it would be good for them to do it that way if they were to ever do it, because then they could like not have to worry about the ages of the actors. And if the actors didn't want to be involved, then they don't have to worry about the actors.
right. But I really think the story's told at this point, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, people are always going to ask, is there going to be another
Oh,
reunion?
my God. Believe
And
me, every
then they
single
ask
day.
you that all the time, and Amy's answered that many times. Well, it hasn't
Well,
actually answered it. Just
She did answer it. She answered it in a Rolling Stone article last year. I think it was either last year or the year before, where she talked about how if she were to do it again, she would she would give Lane a better storyline, and she would fulfill Lane's storyline a little bit better.
I would love to see Elaine spinoff, and Hillary in the chat saying that she wants a Kirk show with Kirk and Lulu. Sean
I
and
always
Rini
wanted
would be
just
great.
I always wanted just the townies by themselves. Like they were my favorite.
I mean, the Townies were their own character, like the
They
whole
were.
as a group there. But and I know everybody always asks that there going to be a reunion? When is there going to be a reunion? I think that the reunions are almost a little bit overplayed at this point. Like we've
I
told
don't
the
know. I mean,
story.
it's 20, this year is the 25th anniversary, so we'll see what they decide to do. I don't know. I doubt they're going to do anything, but you never know. I doubt it would be another year in the life, though. If anything, it would just be a bunch of people getting together and doing a panel somewhere, but I don't know anything about
And
any
I
of it.
think that panel should be right here on Gilmore Girls or Hurricane Girls. We're Hurricane Girls. Just putting that out there in the universe here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
I would love to
it's
do that.
it was a fun show to work on, and but it was also a lot of work. It was also a lot. I have to stress a lot of work.
Right.
Um, and but right now, man, I'm not working, so hire me.
Right. No, I mean
Meanwhile,
the
Hollywood's
set
burning.
talking about the 16-hour days, 22-hour days, they're
Mhm.
producing as I think the America has a much tighter TV schedule than a lot of other countries because a lot of other countries they'll do a season that's like 12 episodes. But for America it's like 24 episodes in a
Well, it
season.
was. Now it's
It's
like 6 or 9. They're not
well,
doing
now that
it.
things have moved to streaming, yes, I
Yeah,
think.
it's not a good model because they don't one, it's not good for the crews because we are constantly like trying to find the next job because that one job can't sustain you.
Right.
It's been a really interesting since Gilmore Girls ended. Um a lot of the longer format shows have gone away. And there's still a few left. Like a friend of mine works on Grey's Anatomy and that thing hasn't died yet,
Right.
which is
Will
crazy.
apparently never die. But
I don't know. You never know. But it'll be sad when
it's
it does.
I mean, those days of the 24 episode seasons that meant you had to be churning out episodes in a very short period of time, hour
Yeah.
long dramas in a very short period of time. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of long days, and I imagine that was very taxing on you most days,
Oh
even,
yeah.
you
Well,
know.
we did anywhere from like a 16 to a 22-hour day. And there were at least 3 times that I remember we did a 22-hour day. And they're just rough. At least I think it was 3. I realized the other day that there was another one that I didn't realize was a 22-hour day. Um, the Lazy Crazy Hazy Days of Summer was a 22-hour day. Lane's wedding, there was a day that was 22 hours, and I think there was one, oh, it was the scenes in the mall. When we shot scenes in the mall, there was a really long day. But otherwise, every day was normally really long.
Right. I mean, I figure the average day, and a lot of movies are shot overnight too, so you're up all night and
Yeah.
doing things like that. Like when I was shooting Ice Cream Lover, all of our shoots were overnight, and it was, you know, 16 hours. You get 2 minutes worth of footage, and it's a lot of work to do it, but
Gilmore Girls every Monday would be like a 4:42 call for me, maybe a 7 o'clock crew call for the crew. And then by the end of the week, we were wrapping and going home at 8 a.m. So Saturday morning, going home at 8 a.m. and then having to come back again on Monday early, early, early. And it was grueling. Like when the show was done, I didn't want to think about it ever again. Like I just was like, oh God, I can't think about this. This gives me trauma.
right. I
Um,
mean, that's a lot. I mean, people have this idea that people in Hollywood, they have these plum jobs where they just get to go and pretend to be people, and they don't really understand the vast amount of work, the not just actors, but the people who are employed, like costumers, like yourselves,
yeah.
carpenters, electricians, all kind, everybody who comes together to make this wonderful thing on screen that looks just effortless. Like
Yeah.
if they've done their job, it looks like they haven't done a job at all. Yeah.
It's a lot of work, a lot for everyone. And I the amount of hours that our show in particular, we had a very bad reputation for filming longer hours than any other show. So it made it difficult to have a good home balance life. So a lot of people, when the show was over, would just not do anything else. There were other people, like they had
Mhm.
families and they needed to work because maybe their wife wasn't working. They would like go and hop onto another show
Mm.
in between. But I'd always take that time off and just be home, maybe go on a vacation, maybe fix some stuff around the house. Um, and it's wild right now because I literally haven't worked. It's the exact opposite of what those hours and hours and hours that I spent. And a friend of mine, when I first started working in the business, said to me, you know, enjoy the time you have off because you just never know when it's going to not be off. You just don't know what you're going to be doing when the next thing comes along. And it's true, but oh my God, this has been a long time off.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Taylor and Ash's Daylight over in the chat. Basically, they said you couldn't have a life, and that I think is why that's why you see a lot of actors and actresses coupling up sometimes because you're there for long hours on a set shooting things together. It kind of
Yeah,
brings you close, I think, and
it
you don't
brings you
have
close.
the
Yeah,
outside life.
it brings you close. You're not necessarily being introduced to many other people. And I don't think we had any romantic hookups on Gilmore Girls. I feel like all of them were, even though we were working, I don't think anybody, I mean, other than Milo and Alexis, they had dated. But other than that, I don't think there was, I'm trying to remember, like Jackson and Alex Borstein, but they were married already, so that
Mhm.
wasn't a thing. I don't think there was anyone that like specifically.
I was low key crushing on Melissa McCarthy the whole time.
Mm,
I just her energy, um, as
she's
Suki.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but also she's one of the hardest working women in Hollywood right now.
Yeah,
Like literally works, you see her in so many things. I don't think she takes a day off sometimes, like everything she
not
does, and
really.
she's so funny and so comes off as so genuine. And I feel like that's not an act. It would, and you would probably
Yeah.
know that better than we would, but
No, she's really
um,
sweet. She's really sweet. She's fought hard for everything that she's got. She's had to work for it, and um, I appreciate what she's gotten. It's funny is she was like the first one on the show to really achieve anything. Like she got her Emmy, and then I think she got an Oscar too, right? Didn't she get an Oscar? Trying to remember.
um, yeah, I'm
I
not
know she
sure.
got an Emmy. I know her and Alexis definitely got an Emmy. And it was like, oh my God, this is amazing and awesome, and
Mm.
so proud of both of them.
Alexis in Handmaid's Tale is just an absolute revelation. Watching
Yeah,
her in that, oh my God, she was incredible in that. Do
she
you
really, really is.
do you since we are a show of women, by women, for women, how what's it like being a woman working on sets in Hollywood?
Well, I work in a department that is mainly women. It'd probably be more unique if you were not a woman or if you were more of a straight male working in that business, which there are a few. It's just it's very typical that the department is mostly women. A lot of it, our department doesn't get we don't get the people to fight for us as much. It's really hard to have that because a lot of times as women, we kind of go, oh, okay, sure, you need that. We're the helpers. We're the ones that like make it happen. And I feel a lot of times that our department gets taken advantage of more because of that. Um, but having said it, it's a very fun job, but not one I would recommend anyone getting into right now because it's just been so slow that I wouldn't I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't take back my life, but I would say really look at if this is an occupation you want to get into, because there's so much uncertainty right now. And it used to be that you could just get any job, and it like you got into crew, you'd work all the time if you were good. And right now it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. It's just there's just too many people not working. Yeah.
And you're working, from what I understand, since the strike has been kind of, the whole thing's been kind of off,
Yeah,
right?
it was slow before the strike. So before the strike, um, a couple years before the strike, it was so crazy busy. There were so many shows going. They were trying to recover after COVID. And then when the strikes were looming, production started cutting back because they were like, we're going to squeeze the crews. We're going to make it so that they have to accept whatever. And but they went on strike anyways, and we just kept getting less and less, and things were going away. And with the threat of like AI and the fact that people aren't watching as much on cable or regular television, it's just slowly kind of dissipating, which just sucks because, one question I get all the time is, do we get residuals? No, we don't. Like the money we earned 20 years ago on that show, that was it. We don't get anything else. Now, there might be something that's put into our pension, but we don't think about that. That's not money going into our pocketbooks because, like, you have to make it to retirement to be able to collect.
And I think that's why you see a lot of these actors go into the conventions more often, is because
100%.
that's a chance to make money right there.
It definitely is, but like we as crew people, like we don't have that opportunity. Normally we
Right.
would be working on the next thing, and by all means, like the actors, when you think about it, unless they're very famous, they don't make that much money because they may make like, let's say they may make what I make in a week in one day, but they're only working one day and I'm working the whole show. So there's a lot of times the actors just don't get that. They have to work other jobs, or they have to, I don't know, we've gone on from one thing to another, haven't we?
We
But
have. I
it
mean, we
is,
can go back to ice cream for sure.
no, I just meant like, I think we were talking about women in our industry and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's such the union, I mean, the shows have devolved, and so much production has left LA. And now with the fires, it's really scary because I don't know. I was in some conversation with someone online because there was an actress that made a video that seems like, oh, well, that's like a great idea, but it's not. Like the idea was, we should talk to the studios and have them turn the studios into schools because of the fire. Like they could put the schools, they can build temporary schools there. And I'm like, no, that's a bad idea because the people who are directly being impacted by this fire, which are like, there's 200 crew members have lost their homes. They're now not going to have work because you're deciding to, if this were to go through, you would
Mhm.
decide to make it so that those studios don't have studio space. You see it as an empty space and an empty stage, but I see it as the potential for a production to move in and film. And if the empty space isn't there, they do not have the ability to film in that empty space. Whereas there are plenty of abandoned buildings. There are plenty of like what do you call it? There's like Kmart's that have shut down. There's Sears have shut down. There's like an old IKEA building. There's all sorts of abandoned commercial real estate that is not being used because everybody has moved into their homes and stopped using offices. Use those spaces. I'm sure they're even closer to the areas that are being affected. But I got into an argument with someone today about that, and it's scary to me that our business is going to suffer because of this cataclysmic event that was just an event of weather. Let's just hope that, I don't know. I know there's lots of talk of like arson and weird stuff going on with that, but I'm hoping it was nature and natural and not something man-made. I mean, it might have been man-made in the power lines being, making or causing this, but it's so sad. It's so
All right.
devastating.
I do want to say this. Now, where I live in Texas. I mainly deal with hurricanes.
Yeah.
So I know what it is to lose all of my belongings, regardless if you're poor, middle class, upper
Yeah.
class. I wish it on nobody. My main issue is this is being used for political gain. This is
I
a
don't
tragedy.
understand that.
I don't like
Exactly.
it. This is a tragedy.
Yeah.
This is not. This isn't time for the blame game. Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, it was an accident. Now that we see the problem, everyone put their personal feelings to the side. Do what's best for the people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you can't get your shit together, we the people will come together and
They
vote
are.
you out and put somebody
Yeah.
who's gonna do the work in.
Well, there's been a lot of blame placed at our leaders, and frankly, I don't see the leaders in California. I don't see it. I see them doing the work. This is just such a cataclysmic scale that we've never seen before. I mean, having thousands of fires happening simultaneously in the middle of the most horrific windstorm. It was so windy that night. It was scary. It was so scary. And I know you've gone through these type of things. If only we had water, like to put them out. But then again, if we had water, we would have landslides or floods, and that wouldn't have been good too, which is what you guys experience a lot throughout the years. It's wild. Normally we don't have these crazy type of events. We have
Right,
fires. Fires are normal in California. We always have
right.
fires, but they don't generally happen all at the same time, all at the same time.
It was at a biblical scale. I literally
Biblical,
saw
yeah.
I literally saw a tornado, and it literally reminded me of the book
Wicked
of
Rock.
Exodus.
Oh,
It reminded me of when the children of Israel was going to the Red Sea to flee from Pharaoh and them. And I just said, Lord have mercy. I've never seen a tornado, a fire tornado in my 33
yeah.
years of living. I was like, this is biblical. Have mercy. Like somebody do something. Get all the water.
I'll tell you though, the community's really coming together. Um, there's such an outpouring of love within Los Angeles themselves, just people coming together, donating what they have to people, and sadly a little too much donation. Like, you guys, they can't handle all of it. They don't need all of it yet, but they're like, but all of these, especially the film community, is really rallied behind. Like, there was I saw yesterday, I was just started crying, was one of our Teamsters brought their generators, the generators that run base camp, and brought it to the Brentwood police station um to give them power so that they could like take showers and have lights at at the fire station. And it's just incredible how many people have like stepped forward and really helped each other out and become neighbors again instead of this divisiveness. I feel like sometimes you need something bad to happen for good to happen, but also then you have, unfortunately, parts of the US that are just feeding into the rhetoric. Like, I was on TikTok and I scrolled into a few mutuals lives who were like talking, oh, blah, 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 like the news that they heard, or, oh, they don't have enough water. No, that's not what happened. Like, get the truth. And then they were like, oh, I didn't realize. And I'm like, look at the sources. Where is it coming from? Who is reporting this? Is it let me guess, is it an institution that doesn't fact check? Is that the person that's reporting that? Go to your sources and see.
We
But
can't just
unfortunately,
Well, we also, I mean, while we have that going on in California, there's also Western North Carolina right now that is still being rebuilt after Hurricane Helene. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
talking to some people who are trying to help the people who are displaced there, and they were like, "Don't send used clothes. Do not
No,
send
I
any more
know.
Like,
used
it's not
clothes."
even just
Yeah,
Hurricane Helene. They got a bunch of snowstorms over the winter, and like now they're getting
yeah,
avalanches. And so all of the work that's being done on I-40 is just being washed out.
Wow.
It's so
so
tragic.
I
And I
think
don't know.
people.
Yeah.
I think people tend to, I mean, they look at California and they're like, oh, that's God's punishment on those evil Hollywood people and all that stuff.
Oh,
And it's just like it's easy
ridiculous.
because like it's easy to be an us versus them. It's like all those rich celebrities in the Palisades, and I'm like, actually, no, it's the people
Yeah.
who work on those shows or the people who work in the in the supermarkets
Right.
around there, or the people who work in the
Yeah.
restaurants around there.
Right.
Especially
Right. And it's
especially Altadena. You know,
Mm,
Altadena is
yes.
a predominantly um it was a community. I mean, it still is. They will rebuild, but it was a community that everyone, race, creed, nothing, everybody was accepted in that community. And to see it go down like that is just so sad. Um, so many people, all walks of life. Palisades, yeah, there are definitely celebrities that live there, and unfortunately, the cameras are being pointed at them, and that's the only thing anyone's seeing on television. But there are communities within Palisades that are mobile home parks that people
mhm.
saved every single dollar that they had because they wanted to live in this area, which is right by the ocean, and it was beautiful, but it was very inexpensive for them to be able to live in this part of town, and now those are gone. It's so sad for everyone in the community and the
Right.
infrastructure and the lot and the animals. I mean, like you're hearing about did you see the one about the guy that found his dog?
I saw that after like 5 days.
God, it was like so
Hmm.
No,
heart-wrenching.
I didn't hear about that. What happened?
So
Just you have to Google it.
you have to see it, but he couldn't find his dog, and
So
it
basically, he had to evacuate, and I guess he was on his bicycle and he tried to bicycle back up there, and he convinced one of the firemen to get his dogs out of his place, and only one of them came out. The other one either escaped, and thankfully the door got open because they were inside the building, inside the structure. The house burnt down, but and the house burnt down shortly after the first dog was rescued. And so he got his first dog, and then he was allowed to go back after the flames had died down. And he gets to the property, and his other dog is there, was still there. And he grabbed him, and he just wailing.
It's hard to watch. I mean, just seeing that level of human and non-human suffering, and just thinking about, how precarious our situations can be at any time. Like I'm very much hoping and sending energy out into the universe that you're safe there where you
We're
are.
safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel very safe. We're in a very flat area. And unless the hillside behind us, and we're not even connected to the hillside. Like the hillside is separated by some major boulevards and stuff. Unless that goes on fire, we will probably not be evacuated. But there is always the chance, like. And my friend, I talked to three of my friends today that all lost, actually four friends that lost homes. I finally got a hold of them because I was trying not to like be that person to inundate them with messages because I know it's better to kind of come in towards the end because when people stop paying attention or focusing on you, to be there for support. And one of them was just like, I had no idea. We just thought we were going to be gone for like a couple hours or a couple
Right.
days, and then to find out that everything was gone. And I love her quote. Her husband quoted, they got to see, they went up to the house, and there's a picture of them at the house, and it's like them wearing masks, and it just looks like the apocalypse is behind them. Like it is the most expensive photo you've ever taken in your life because you lost all your property. And the the quote she said, well, I guess we don't have to Marie Kondo this shit now. And you're just like, that's so Amy.
Oh God.
Like,
I mean,
and it's just ever see those photos you had again. You'll never get to touch your grandmother's thing or the thing that you worked your entire life at. And while these are just things, they're memories and they meant
Yes.
something to those people. And the other thing too, I went to her house a couple months ago and I remember her pointing out the chests that the little boxes that had her puppy's ashes, all of her animals' ashes all on the mantle. And it's now they're just part of the landscape. You'll never recover that. You'll never recover the people and the memories and the things. It's not about a sewing machine that you can buy again. It's deeper. It's about these little tiny things that, hopefully you hold on to them in your memory. It's the only thing you can do is hold on to the memory. And maybe it's freeing too, because I feel like sometimes we get so attached to things that we can't let go of things, that sometimes life has to take place for those things to not control us as much. But I don't know. I'm more worried and concerned with the survival and them getting work again and being able to have a livelihood again.
right.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
as much as people talk about Hollywood and all that stuff, everybody slaps their happy ass down in a chair and turns on the TV at the end of the day. Pretty
Yeah.
much. We're all consuming entertainment, and it takes working people, like people who sling a hammer, people who carry food and things like that to make those things happen. And
Yeah.
the humanity of it all, I think, is something we have to keep in mind. We're all here, some of us are higher profile than others, but we all bleed red. We all are human fucking beings at the end of the day. And to me, that's how it should be seen. It shouldn't be seen of this is Hollywood, and so
No,
fuck
no.
Hollywood, let it burn.
That's how, you know what? That's their religious side of them showing, which is horrible. It's
Right.
it's like that is
The
where you
hellfire.
decide, that's where you decide, instead of being compassionate and caring, you choose hatred. And it's despicable. It's doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, speaking of supporting people who work in Hollywood like yourself,
Mhm.
where can we get this?
The link in my bio, Valerie's cat eye, like your eyeball, and scream like you're screaming for your life.com, Valerie's cat eye scream.com. And if you go to the store, I make arts. I make, I can do a custom edition of the book where I draw something pretty on it, whatever you want. And then I
I have me and
also,
Hermione right here, my daughter and me.
yeah, I love that picture.
Yeah,
And
it was so
then
much fun.
it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was such a full circle moment too, because of all the things that we had gone through as friends,
Hmm.
like it was wild.
It was
Yeah.
healing.
It was very healing. Yeah. I never thought we would be friends again.
Yeah, there's a whole story which we have like 10 minutes left in the show. I
We
can't
have
really
10
go
minutes.
into
I can
that,
tell it
but
really quick.
tell it
Can
really
I?
if you want to
Horrible
tell it
people.
really quick, tell it.
I can tell it really quick. Can I tell it really quick? Basically, not everybody on TikTok or any social media is always who they say they are. And if people get a little too close, sometimes you might get too close to people and you don't have enough air to breathe and to become yourself. I think relationships and friendships need a little breath of air between them.
Hmm.
And we all had gotten too close to a group of people that at one time that didn't necessarily have our best interest at mind. And one by one, each one of us got taken out of that group and
Yeah.
we're left by ourselves again. And then we reconnected, and with better boundaries and a better understanding of who we were and what our goals were in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That
I
was a
don't know
hard
what
time. A very,
it
very
was a
hard
hard
time.
time. Yeah. It was hard. But you know what? we got through it,
I think
and
we're
it
better friends because of it right now, honestly.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I don't think that spending 24 hours with people, like, there was nothing
it
to
was a
do.
lot. It
I
was a
was
lot.
writing my book, and everyone was just hanging in my room, and people wanted to cause drama for no reason. And I was just like, guys, I'm trying to write this book. Why do you keep bringing drama in this room? Like, it was almost like a big game for them to do that. And
One of the original Hurricane girls, she's not with us tonight, but one of the original girls I met through that person who was causing the drama. So
oh,
even
no,
terrible
but you
people
can,
can bring about good things in your life sometimes.
oh,
Yeah.
100%. Like, would I take it back? No, I would never take back anything in my life.
No.
I won't. They're all things that you learn from. And I feel like I try to be calm, the calm person that kind of lets it fly off me. And ultimately, I don't think about things past the time. I mean, like, I remember everything, but I don't let these things hold into my memories forever and ever. I don't let them affect me because, they can affect you for the first, hour, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week. But after that, I'm like, okay, we gotta let this shit go, right?
Right. Well, I'm
You
glad
can't.
that we were able to put that behind us and reconnect, and you have been a constant presence in my life, even though I've gone off and done my own thing here on
And that's,
TikTok
and I
and done
appreciate that.
stuff, but we always find a way to circle back to each other, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and now, we're all kind of getting a little scattered because TikTok possibly going away, and then here
It's weird, yeah. I don't know what'll happen from that. I feel ultimately whatever happens is going to be the best for everyone involved, and it will work out
Mhm.
as it always does. Like, someone was kind of comparing it to a graduation of sorts,
It
and
feels that way.
it might be the force that pushes us into the next stage of our life, whatever that is. And hopefully, you realize that it's all up to you to keep in touch with people. You might
For
be
sure.
sad that this isn't going to happen or that's not going to happen, but you're the one that controls your life. Like,
Mhm.
you don't need an app to tell you that you can't
Well,
keep in touch with someone.
there were people who needed there were people who needed to get their shit together and get sober and do all of those things. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Morgan, I'm getting some audio from your side here, I think. Yeah.
Morgan.
So I think we're getting some audio from your side, but I got to land this plane anyway. We are reaching the close of our show. Um, We are the Hurricane Girls. We're here broadcasting on GCPR.live. Please stay tuned to the station if you're listening for conversations with T. Nathan, who will come directly after this show. If you are here with us on YouTube, please smash that like and smash that subscribe button. And remember, even though the show is over, the live replay and all of our videos will be up. Please share them. Come back, watch them. If you're cleaning your house, put them on in the background. Do something, listen to us natter about, this, that, and the other. If you are a Spotify or Apple type person, our podcast will be up probably by midnight tonight, and you can certainly download that, listen to it, and put it on in the car. But the most important thing I ask for everybody out there is to share the show and to tell everybody, hey, this is a great podcast. I want you to listen to it because I mean, we got a fair few listeners, got quite a bit tonight, and then we're always on the radio station, but I'd like to grow it more, and that way maybe we can bring you more content, more more interesting things like we've been able to the last couple of weeks we've had some fantastic guests. We have a fantastic guest tonight. We'll have a fantastic guest next week. But I'd like to be able to keep it going and bring more, and that's gonna involve everybody sharing the show. So I appreciate all that you all do out there in the audience and all the support that you have given us here. We are at Hurricane Girls on YouTube. I am at Sheila Chappelle on TikTok. Valerie is at valeriescaticecream.com. Uh, Go there, get the book. order an autographed copy. And
Follow
order
me on YouTube.
YouTube, order a personalized copy because let me tell you, there's nothing like getting a nice illustration done and done live
Mhm.
on TikTok or however you want it done. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely go and support our friend here. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and land this plane for Cimarron, Alicia, Morgan, Constance, and Valerie. I am Sheila Chappelle, America's ex-girlfriend. Chin up, tits out, ladies. Good night.
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 Link in bio.
Link in the bio.